All right, ladies, we are live.
All right.
So, you want to introduce it, or do you want me to, Ty? You want me to introduce it? Okay. This is Finding Our Voice, and we created this safe and judgment-free zone for women to come and encourage each other and, share different ideas and just, be an encouraging place and somewhere where we can grow and build and be better versions of ourselves. I'm a co host, and this is my other co host, Todd. You could go ahead and introduce yourself first. Are you muted? Can we hear you? I can't hear.
I think you're on mute.
Yeah, I'm like, I can't hear. Yeah, I thought it was me. I'm like, I can't hear. What happened? We heard you a minute ago.
It won't let me off.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah, there you go. I will. Sorry, I had my glasses on. So I'll start over. So I am Todd Carter. I am the host of Talking with Todd, and I'm also the host of Three Ways to Say It. I currently reside in Alabama in a rural area called Montevallo, and I am a HBCU graduate of Miles College. Let's see, I am a mental health advocate. So when I started my podcast, Talking with Todd, one of the things that I wanted to do is just to reach out to other people and to bring awareness on mental health, and then also just to share life experiences with people. So the people that I asked to come on my show are people who are doing extraordinary things in their community, and that's what I like to focus on. And I also like to share my faith with the people that I come in contact with. So that's a little bit. And also, I'm a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, and I am
Okay.
a I am an ancestry. I love ancestry, so that's another thing that I do. And I also am the owner of Todd Carter Events, where I specialize in reunion planning. So that's all
All
about me.
right. Nice. Would you like to go, ma'am?
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. My name is JD Day. I am a personal development coach. I am also a insurance agent, so I'm a health insurance and life insurance broker. Also, I have a fruits and veggies page on Instagram. I'm getting into health a lot more, watching what I eat, and I want to empower others to do the same. So I've started that. I'll be doing a vlog very soon. It's I Eat Fruits and Veggies. And in regard to the coaching, basically, I help women prepare for entrepreneurship. Basically, in the aspect of developing yourself, not necessarily what you're going to do for your business. So, not a business plan and marketing, things like that. The aspects that you have to work on within yourself, who you have to become to be successful in your business. So, I'm happy to be here today.
Well, thank you. We're happy to have you. Oh, wait. It looks like we have somebody. There she is.
Hi.
Okay. Hi.
Hi.
Okay, so we gonna go ahead and let you introduce yourself. We just were on the introduction part, so you right on time, Miss Lady.
My name is Kayla, and I'm 23, and I run the podcast Wake Up Girl with Kayla, and I also own Gillian's Dream Cosmetics and Marketing.
All right. And I am Mikey. I'm a certified life coach and herbalist. I've been practicing for over 10 years. I'm passionate about helping. I'll help anybody, but I have a passion for women because I feel like we're the first teachers. And I feel like if our mental and our our body, and our spirit is right, then we'll be in the right energy that we need to usher these children into productive adults. So I focus on everything. So in my herbalism, I make body butters, teas, tonics, all natural healing herbs. Even I make my own essential oils to put in them. Um, I'm just all about, being a better version of yourself all the way around, inside and out, mind, body, and spirit. So I'm into eating healthy as well. I study eating for your blood type because I've had my own health issues. So that's one of my passions for helping people because I helped myself. So that's, a little bit about me. And so I'll go ahead and start with what the topic is. And I'm glad Miss Lady showed up because she's a part of the reason why we have the topic. Um, one of my podcast episodes, the title was about the disconnect between the younger generation and the older generation of women. And Miss Kayla here heard my episode, and she wanted to talk to me about it. So I really am passionate about that as well, because I feel like as the older generation, we need to kind of, reach back more encouraging and loving, and than we have been. And so that's why I have the topic tonight, because I feel like we should discuss that more, and we need to find out why we have the disconnect, not just talk about it, but let's figure out what it is, and find some solutions so that we can better our community.
I love that.
Yeah.
So I want to start with Miss Kayla because she is the youngest here, and I love what she has to say. So Kayla, just go ahead and tell them a little bit about what you told me about how you felt about the episode.
Okay, well, I felt like the disconnect comes with the older generation believing in the do as I say, not as I do type thing, because you're telling us to do one thing, but then we're seeing you do another, and then you expect us not to pay attention to what we're looking at. I also think that the delivery of the advice that some older adults try to give us, it comes off a little disrespectful, and a lot. And I noticed that a lot of people from the older generation also believe in because I'm older than you, you respect me. Versus, well, because I'm giving you respect, you give me respect. Now we react the way that you react to us. If you come at us very disrespectful and very rude, we're gonna react the same way. So I feel like it needs to be more of a give and take type of situation versus one side constantly having to give the respect and the other side being able to do and say whatever they want to, and we're just supposed to be okay with that.
What do you ladies think about that?
I'm
I agree.
smiling because I'm guilty.
You guilty, Miss Todd?
Absolutely. I mean, I can see where I am all about respect. And Kayla, I don't think you in the chat room when I said my age, so I would be considered your even though I feel like I am a young child at heart. But a lot of times, yes, I will, but I will say this in my personal life though, I do lead by example. But I am kind of like I haven't always been that way. I have just done some things, and I'll tell my daughter, which is 23, my oldest, it's like, do it because I said so, do it because I'm your mother, and that doesn't always go over with her. So we had to figure out a way to interact better in terms of how I was interacting with her. So yeah.
What about you, Jadisha?
Okay, so I am a millennial. I'm in my mid 30s. So my experience has been a little different based on the fact that my mother is very open, and so are like my aunts. And those are the people that I really go to the most for advice or when I want to talk. And I think it also has to do with how open you are. So if you come with an open heart, and your tone is good, 9 times out of 10, you're going to get someone that is going to give you that same thing back, right? It's very hard to come at somebody respectfully and they still disrespect you. Not saying that it doesn't happen, but sometimes you have to set the tone. But I've also been in your shoes, Kayla, with people that I may not know, and they just expect that that's the way it's going to go, and that is a problem. I think it just starts with, like you said, that mutual respect off the rip. Basically, it doesn't have to be earned. It's just something that we should approach each other with.
I agree. One of the things that Kayla and I also touched on, because I did do an interview with her on her podcast, but the correlation between being a teenage mother. If you think about it, when a well, she's not a woman. When a girl has a baby at 14, 15, 16, 17, by the time that child is 21, 22, 23, she's in her mid to late 30s. So they're kind of in competition now. You know what I mean? Like they're out there competing for the same men. And this woman is looking at her daughter and she's pretty much looking at the younger, better version of herself. So I feel like there's a jealousy there with the older generation and the younger generation because whether we want to admit it or not, we know that men look to women and they want fertility and youth. So once we're getting to our, mid to late 30s and 40s and 50s, we already know that the dating pool is going to slim for us because men want younger women like they did when we were younger. So I feel like there's a jealousy thing that we need to get over, as the older generation and be able to embrace you guys more than look at you with jealousy. Because, like Kayla, like you both said, like it's all about the approach. You get more flies with honey than you do with vinegar. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. I can come at you saying the same thing in different ways and get a different response. So I think it starts with us as the elders because we need to lead by example. So it's not all about I'm your elder, respect me because I said no. They're grown women too. Respect them as grown women. If there's like you said, a mutual respect, then we'll get a lot further in conversations.
Yeah, I agree, especially, and I noticed it more as I start to branch out with my business. I started to see more because at first I wasn't looking for it. Social media was just like it is now. You watch the videos, you laugh, you get off. Now I actually read the comments because I'm like, okay, well, how did the audience respond to this? And I notice in the comments, you'll see women in their 40s and 50s trying to put down a girl that's in her 20s when they should be explaining things to them and having that respect. Because a lot of them will be like, "Oh, look at her, she's twerking, she's disgusting," instead of telling her, "Hey, if you want this, this, and this, you probably shouldn't do that because this, and this." But I noticed that, especially in the business world, women are competing against each other, especially the older ones, because let's be honest, in a company, who's going to be the first to go, the older one or the younger one? So instead of them teaching you how to do the job better, they would rather pull you down, complain to the boss about you not doing it right, rather than trying to teach you how to do it so then that way you can be just as successful as they are, if not more.
I think that it starts with the mindset. So each individual is going to be different. But if we're talking about the majority, I think it has to do with the mindset, it has to do with the media, it has to do with what is being projected onto people, right? And so, with that being said, if you have a scarcity mindset, you're going to act accordingly. So once you get out of that scarcity mindset, you understand that there's room for everybody. You can see someone like
Right.
Kayla and say, "Hey, let me take you under my wing," right? I do that all the time.
Me
That's
too.
just I was honestly I kind of
Mhm.
I was raised like that, so it doesn't I kind of had a head start. That's just how
Mhm.
I was raised. So I never looked at the next person as my competition because we're walking different paths. We're not doing the same
Right,
things. How can we be competing?
right. I agree.
Absolutely.
And I feel like in the time that I've been a life coach and dealing with different people, that's what another thing I'm passionate about is healing. I feel like a lot of us, because I don't know why it's a stigma in our community to get therapy and to get help, but a lot of us are broken and we have unhealed childhood traumas, and then we become adults and then we add on adulthood traumas. And when we have
Right.
certain things that happen to us in our life, a lot of us, we're stunted at that age. So a lot of us are childish as I don't know what, because you're still stunted at 15, 16, 17 when you were traumatized and you haven't gotten
Right.
healed, and you just keep throwing more and more onto it, and then you have more stuff to unpack when you finally hit rock bottom, whatever that is for you, and you decide you want to do the work. So I feel like a lot of
Excuse
the women are just grown children. So they're acting like that because mentally, girl, they're your age. She may be 50, 60, but mentally she's still 20, 15. Wherever she's got stunted, she's still that age because she hasn't taken the time to heal.
You hit the nail on the head with that one.
And I think that's why I approach the situations differently, because I mean, I don't think you're ever done, growing and healing, but I've taken the steps and I've done the work, and and every day is a day where I'm healing, but I'm so far from where I used to be. But I remember being in my 20s and I had to deal with that. Like I dealt with elder women and I didn't like the way they treated me, and I didn't like how I felt like, it was like, well, you're only this age. Like, how do you feel you can't learn anything from me just because I'm 21 and you're 40? Like, so I felt that, and I just made it my point to not make others feel like that.
Right,
And
and
see,
I
my is totally different. I mean, I have had older women that have taken me up under their wings, and I do like what the other girls say. When you have that scarcity mindset, so then you would feel that you can't teach anybody anything, especially in the work. But in my environment, I'm the person who I will always reach out and encourage other women, especially the younger ones, because I know how it feels to be a younger person. But I haven't just had that experience where I'm competing with younger women. One, even 9 times out of 10, we're not going to be the same guys. And as I'm aging, I don't feel no type of way about the younger women because I'm still confident in who I am, even at 51. So I feel like I can um, compete with them as well. You know, so I think it just depends on that person and the experience that they have had to be. It's something wrong inside. They have to be an unhealed person not to reach back and want to help a younger person or even an older person. And, as people are aging in the workspace, they may take a little bit longer to do some things, but sometimes they can still, uh, outwork a younger person. And I know that it does happen. I was talking to an older lady at my job, and she was in management. And I remember her supervisor had a problem with her, but the lady is very sharp. And but it was some jealousy with a younger lady toward an older lady. And I'm not gonna lie, she is a beautiful lady, and she have had assistance. And so what she did was, well, I was in the part because we're live. I don't know who's watching, but she tried to shame her on a task that was simple to do, but the lady had never done it before, and she used that instant just I'm gonna call it age shame her, and it was something very simple that she taught, but that's just how she did, to her. So I think it can go both ways. It just depends on that person and how they're feeling inside about themselves, in terms of just being ugly, is what I think.
I agree. It can go both ways, but I think that goes back to healing. I realized in my journey in healing that when I started loving me more, I was able to love my sisters. Like
Right.
when we're sitting around and everybody's mad at each other and you looking at each other all upside the head, there's something wrong with you. You're not loving up on you right, because now when I look at my sisters, I see a reflection of me, and I love me, so I love you. I don't want to, see you doing bad. I want to see you doing good, and I feel like that's the attitude we should all have for each other. Like you said, it shouldn't be I don't want you to be as good as me. And I feel like some of the older generation that I dealt with when I was younger, I felt like they felt like they didn't make the best decisions in their life, and now they want to try to, misery loves company. So it's like I don't want you to be any better than me, and I just don't understand how we got there. How did we get to where we don't want because the younger generation is our future. So why don't you want them to be better than what we were? Like, when
I
did
don't
we
even
get to? How did we get
age.
here?
I think it's just women sometimes. Because you could be right the same age and have so much jealousy where you're right there,
Oh yeah,
5 and 36, and it's like you're 12. So I just think as a whole, we need to do better because
hmm
it's we do need to bridge the gap because one thing that I always tell people when because they'll just say that this generation is that and the third, but it's
hmm
that we came at a different time in life, but it doesn't mean that they have less worries, but then I mean that we had less worries. Don't. It's like now this generation here has so much access to all of this information, so it's just more fast for them, and everything is being put out there. um I don't want to go spiritual, but you have so many things where they're trying to steer people into certain directions, and I won't get into those, but they have so much to deal with. Don't get me wrong, we did too, but I don't want to be a young person, right? I really wouldn't, you know, because things just look so crazy in the world right now. So I'm glad that I came along and did. However, some days I do feel like, oh, I would love to be 18 again, so just to redo things. I always say 18, y'all. But yeah,
Honestly, I agree with both of you. Um, I feel like it starts with the fact that it's always competition between women. It's never just, hey, girl, let's do this. Don't get me wrong, there's a few people that do it. I mean,
right,
mhm,
I had the type of mom that was very, very inclusive. My mom is my best friend, but she also my mom at the same time, you know. But for the most part, I just feel like if women just stop competing with each other altogether and stop trying to step on each other to get to the next level, everything would go a lot smoother. I don't think that it's one sided. I don't think that it's just the older women or
right,
the younger ones. I think if we all had to have to come together, and then I also think that it also revolves around how you were taught when you were growing up. A lot of adults don't change the way that
right,
they were taught. They won't go to counseling. They won't solve those issues that's very deep inside. No, it's that they pass that same mentality and that same hurt to their kids.
right.
And they wonder why their kids is doing like this, being like them.
right. I agree.
And you can't, and then I think a lot of parents see where they messed up once the child is older, and a lot of parents they'll see that but still won't come back and be like, hey baby, you know what, I was wrong when I told you this.
Right,
Like my mom, I wasn't expecting it at all. I started going to counselor, talking to her about my counseling sessions and stuff, and she actually came to me and said, baby, I did a lot of things that I shouldn't have by you. And I apologize for that. And me, in my head, I'm like, what you do?
Right.
But she just meant all together with when it came to dealing with the situation with me and my dad, when it came to how she parented me, the yelling, the all of those things. I feel like once your child grows up, that's the real test to see how you did. as
Absolutely.
a parent.
That's beautiful. I had that moment with my daughter as well when
Me
I
too.
was going through my healing, and I started realizing all the things that I had to unlearn from the toxic women that were around me. I called my baby and we had a whole little crying moment, and I apologized to her for, all the things, if you didn't feel like I was the mother I should have been to you, if you feel like I was lacking anywhere, I didn't have my mother. I grew up with my father. My father raised me. So the little nurturing and all the things that you learn from your mother, I didn't get that. I had to figure that out on my own. And I had my daughter early. So she kind of, was like, she had to go through my learning phase with me. And I realized that. And I had to apologize to her. And after I apologized to her and she cried, you said, you know what, mom, I didn't even know I needed that apology.
Right.
A lot of times we don't. I didn't realize that I needed it. Like
Right.
I was waiting for the apology from my daddy, but here she come, and I'm like, wait a minute, mom, we was good. I thought everything was all right.
It's funny. I knew I needed it and I didn't get it.
Mm.
My dad,
I didn't get it. I lost my mom in November, and
oh,
I still
Mm.
had to heal and figure out how to be a better version of myself without that apology that I felt like I needed.
Sorry to hear that. I think a
Thank you.
big part of it all is empathy, right? So, not only just empathy for others, but empathy for yourself. Like you said, you had to still keep it going and be positive and heal yourself even without it, right? So, that's
Hmm.
self love. That's giving empathy towards yourself. You didn't get something that you needed, but you're still going to be kind to yourself and move forward, right? So, you can be who
Right.
you want to be for yourself, for your daughter, for the rest of your kids, and family, and also in society, right?
Right.
And in regard to like bridging the gap, I think it's important to, again, not to look at anything as a competition, whether it's in a work setting or if it's a personal setting, because that's the problem. The word compete. That's the issue. It
Right.
shouldn't be. It should be
We need to take it
collaboration
out.
only collaboration, no competition, right?
Right.
And if you're gonna use the word competition, let it be reserved for yourself, for your old self, and that's it.
Right. Competing with yourself to be a better version of you today
Yeah,
than you were yesterday. You should only be
exactly.
in competition with you.
right.
Exactly. And I've had situations where it also to me boils down to really being able to sit in your role. So earlier
Yes.
we were talking about before we got on live our ages, right? And each
Hmm.
of us are in different brackets. So I'm in my 30s, Kayla's in her 20s, Mikey, you're in your 40s, and Tot, you're in your 50s. So it's
Right.
ironic that we're all talking because we're each in a different bracket, right?
Right.
But
I
it's
love how it
important.
worked out,
Yeah,
actually.
right? And I think it's important for us to know where we are at each stage in our life so that we can understand how to operate when it comes to being able to pour into others. Because if you don't, like you said earlier, if you're stuck somewhere, if you don't know where you're at or where kind of where a gauge to where you should be for yourself, you can't give anything to anyone else. So that creates that bitterness and animosity between other people, especially when they don't know what's going on inside you. They don't know why you're treating them like that. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You 9 times out
Hmm.
of 10, the people that we have issues with, we've never had a conversation with, at least not a real one. So how
Right.
can you even get anywhere?
That
So
Right.
counter.
you know what I mean? And I know that like I've had situations where I've looked up to people and I thought that once I met them or whatever the case may be, they were gonna be this way. And they completely just had me very disappointed, right? I know everybody's human, but at the same time, it's just you kind of have an expectation, especially if someone
Yes.
presents a certain way, for them to
Hmm.
step into that role that they can, right? You
Right.
it goes deep because
Hmm.
especially as women, like you said, they're nurturers. We have a role. Are
Right.
we going to step into it? Is the question.
Girl,
Right.
say that again for the people in the back. Please. I preach that all the time. Like, I don't want to blame it on, us having to be single mothers and all of that. But a lot of us are residing in our divine masculine. And it's like, you can't be a nurturer in that energy because masculine is not a nurturing energy. It doesn't nurture, it protects. So how are you giving anybody what they need from you as that woman and as that feminine energy if you're not even operating in that energy?
I
Right.
feel like a lot of women were raised by women who had to be both mom and dad. So once you're raised by a woman that has always had to hold her own, always had to be strong willed, always had to be strongly opinionated about everything because the men will walk all over you. When you're taught in that environment, it creates you, it makes you to be that way as well. And,
Hmm.
and I'm a firm believer in your environment can make or break you. You
I
know,
agree.
there are certain people that will leave that bad area, and then there are certain people that's just meant to stay there because they don't have the ability or the knowledge to move up, or they just don't want to. So I feel like even like with my grandfather, he was an accountant. My grandfather did not have to live in the area of LA that he was in, but he chose to. And I feel like because he was raised there, that's why some people get, like you said, stuck. They get stuck in these places that they grew up in. They get stuck in they become very stagnant, very predictable.
Hmm.
And I feel like now we're in a day and age where everything's constantly changing. And from even parenting, when my grandmother was growing up, all of this, oh, you need to talk to the children and make sure that they understand why what they did was wrong. Back then it was, look, I said it was wrong, so listen to
Right. I said what I said because I said so.
it. Exactly.
No explanation, no nothing. Just do it because I said so. And then you could get beat with anything.
Man. But now, there's so many rules and stuff and they're like, oh, why don't you hit him, girl? Because I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to deal with the courts. I'm not trying to deal with none of that. It's a very different time. And I feel like we all have to move as one in order for everything to run smoothly again, or at least better than it is now. And like you said on my podcast, um, in this day and age, the only difference between the older generation and my generation is that everything has social media. Everything can be put on the internet right there. You know,
Right.
you
Because
can.
I want the older women to stop acting like they wasn't out there spreading it wide and laying it low. You like you got these women who scared for this Freaknik video to come out. You know what I mean? Like we gonna stop acting like we weren't out there wilding out like they were. We just didn't have no Facebook and Instagram and all of that to put it on.
Right.
We were a little more, down low with ours because we couldn't televise it. But stop acting like you weren't 21 yourself. Stop
Did you
acting
go
like
to?
you didn't do the same things.
And a
Did
lot
you
of
go
these
to
videos,
Freaknik? Did you go?
Did I go to Freaknik? Girl, I wasn't old enough to go to Freaknik. By the time I got old enough to go, it wasn't what it was in 92.
Okay,
and
yeah.
a lot of
I thought I wanted to go, but now that I see what it was, I'm glad I probably didn't go because I see it was a lot going
Let me.
on there. Women
I
were
went.
getting raped and stuff.
and I know that a lot of people are gonna watch this documentary and see their mamas, aunties, grandmas, and
That's all I'm saying.
what was that you said the other day?
That's
Right, about me twerking on Facebook. Mama, I saw you on the car
It was. Let me
twerking.
tell
You want me to
you.
pause it for you so you can
You
see?
so Tot, you went to Freaknik?
I did. I went in. I went in '94.
Look, you
I
went when it was popping. Let's hear about it. Go on and
well,
share
well,
something.
it was rated G
In
because I,
'94, it was rated G.
What?
no, my version of it was rated
Oh,
G.
because I'm like, girl, that's when it was popping.
Oh, it was popping.
I
It was
know.
time. Let me tell you, I went with my brother, my cousin, and and her brother. So it was two brother. It was two. It was a brother and a sister, a brother and a sister. And the youngest was four. She was either 14 or 17. I can't remember. But
At the Freaknik?
yeah, we took her. Yeah,
Mm,
we took her. Um,
okay.
All
we
right.
well,
Look, I'm like,
we
okay.
we stayed in we went that day. We went out. We didn't go to any parties. We kind of went downtown, rode around, and had a good time. Got something to eat. Went by some of the other people hotels that they had. That we had some friends there, so we met some of our friends there. My cousin met his girlfriend. I think my brother met his girlfriend there, whatever. And then we drove to Conyers, Georgia, and we stayed with my cousins and them. Their parents' friends. So when I went, I mean, it was a wild time for people, and we did see a lot of craziness.
Because I was gonna say you didn't turn up like everybody else at the
Oh no,
Freaknik
I
was
turned
turning. So you
That's
were in attendance, but you weren't freaknicking. You were
no,
just in
I was
attendance.
in attendance, and
Right.
it was great. It was a great time. I mean, no shooting, no. Where I was, it was nothing crazy. I mean, I literally did sit on the car, and I do have like a picture from it, but it's a rated G. We had a Daisy Dukes, me and my cousin. But it was a good time, y'all. I met the president of Stillman. I cannot think of that lady's name, but she was in the traffic and she was riding, and I remember her. Somebody else, I didn't know who she was. Somebody was like, "That's such and such. That's the president of Spelman." What's that lady name? I cannot think. But anyway, and she was asking who we went to and where we from and stuff like that. So I got a chance to meet her in the midst of the freak meet because she was, I guess, got stuck in that traffic trying to get home or whatever. Yeah, I had a great time.
Well, that's cool, but I still know that we're gonna stop acting like we weren't doing the same thing and quit being so judgmental. Like, yeah, the younger generation has a different mentality than we did, and a whole lot of things are different. But we have to remember when we were younger, and the generation above us was saying the same thing. They felt the same way about us. Like, this music, what are y'all listening to? Like they
Absolutely
felt the same way. So we need to, be a little more understanding and a little more mindful about the way we deal with each other.
and
right.
I feel like if because I had an experience where I looked at my cousin because he was watching something on YouTube, some song, it irritated my soul. I was like, what is this? I had a little moment and he was like, you're just old. Wait a minute.
Right.
Right.
But I feel like if we actually, had those adult conversations with the kids that, you guys had with the ones that we're having now, you know, I feel like if everybody communicated more and understood what communication meant, not just talking to each other, but actually listening to what one another is saying. Because people say, oh, I did communicate. I told her this, this, and this. Yeah, but did you listen
Right.
to what she said before you said that? And I feel like without us actually communicating properly, it's not going to work because a lot of older women weren't taught the basic communication skills. You were taught how to get by in life, and that was pretty much about it.
Right.
But now they're having all these counseling sessions. We're the generation that's doing the counseling, the body positivity, all of this stuff, and now we're looking at it from you guys' world and we're like, ooh, I could only imagine what this next one is gonna look like because
Right.
we're already like this. And I'm honestly scared for my daughter. She's 2, about to be 3, and I'm like, dang, once you get to
Yeah.
my age, what is that? What is
What's
that
it
gonna look
look
like?
like?
What's the world gonna be? Right. That's
Right.
how I feel as well. It just breaks my heart like sometimes because my father took me from my mother when I was 4 years old because my mother got caught up in the 80s crack epidemic. So most of the places that my mother lived were impoverished. So I kind of lived on both sides of the tracks. With my father, we lived in a 4-bedroom house. I had horses. We did rodeos. At my mom's house, we might have an extension cord to the neighbor's house because there's no electricity. So in growing up in the different areas, I've saw the different mindset in the different areas. So I feel like poverty is a mindset because
Hmm.
you can take somebody who has an impoverished mindset and give them everything and they still aren't going to succeed because their mindset is impoverished.
Right.
Right. And we're taught this in college now, even in high school. that your mind, that the way you think about something determines how it's going to go. If you constantly think that you're going to fail, you're going to fail because you have no faith in yourself. How can you expect me to have faith in you and you don't even believe in yourself? That
You
don't
have
make
to
sense.
yourself. Hmm.
And I noticed that
Right.
now everybody's popping out with their businesses and everything. But and I noticed even now through my marketing business that I help a lot of older women with their businesses because a lot of older women don't necessarily understand computers as much as, a 20-year old. you know,
Right.
Still trying to figure out these algorithms that we're talking about, the how to market to the younger generation because we're the ones that's like, oh my, we'll buy the stupid stuff. Like, yeah, but we'll buy the expensive lip glosses. Why? Because it's expensive, and we said that it was expensive, that it was great. We'll buy
Right.
all the little things for our kids. So what you're marketing for, to who you're marketing to, is the younger generation mostly. Yeah, the adults will buy it, but they'll buy by necessity. Like if you have a an older person will be more likely to buy the dress that's expensive because they have somewhere that they have to be. But the younger person is more willing to buy those expensive toys for their kids, those lip
Tennis shoes.
glosses, purses, the stuff that doesn't really amount to nothing. Maybe not even
Right.
2 years from now. It's probably gonna get ate up by the washing machine. You know,
Right.
I've learned the difference in talking to older women and talking to people my age, and it really showed the code switching that I was taught in my business class because I have to switch constantly between being a 23 year old and having the mindset of somebody way older than me because I have to talk to them a certain way so that way they understand. Plus, I'm trying to put myself on your level because you're already looking at me like you said, what is this little girl gonna teach me?
Mhm.
I feel like a lot of it, we just all have to be willing to make that change in order to actually see something done.
I agree. And it starts with self.
You
Like
beat
she
me to
said,
it.
with the mindset. Cause my point was like, I would see a lot of things. Like, for instance, there was this little girl that went to the church with us and she ended up getting pregnant at like 13. And now I don't know why they, made it okay, but they made her feel comfortable enough to continue to have babies. So by the time she was like 20, this little baby had like three babies of her own.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
So she's younger. She's about, at this point, she's probably about 25 and she has five children.
Mm.
see me.
And so that's the mentality of the elders around her. I feel like they failed her.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
So some of these people are the way they are because the elders around them failed them.
yeah.
Well, because
And
our
I
dog.
noticed that a lot. A lot of these mothers, you look at them and like, dang, why didn't your mama teach you? Then you look at the mama and you like, oh,
Oh, that's
Right.
why.
like with me, I
Right.
had my daughter at 19. Yeah, I mean, no, I had her at 20. I got pregnant with her at 19. But even still, my mom and my family, they didn't make that okay, no matter how old my child's father was, because he wasn't exactly young. But no matter how old he was, I was still 19. So now, one, I didn't like the process of having a baby. It was cool to be pregnant and everybody pamper you and stuff. But once you got to the actual having the baby part, I was done. I was over the whole situation. I couldn't eat. Y'all stabbing me with needles every morning, because I was a C-section mom. So I was over the whole thing. So when women say like, "Oh yeah, I have this many kids," I'm looking at you like, "Girl, you are a saint," because me.
But see, my family did me like that too because I had my oldest daughter at 17. and they didn't make it okay for me to be a young mother. They didn't make it cool. So I didn't have my next daughter until I was 25 in my own place, paying my own bills, taking care of myself. So I feel like it starts with self and a mentality, because
Right.
like I see some young women in the inner cities, because that, like I said, that's where my mother would be. But it's like the priorities are all messed up. Your baby knows every song on the radio, but they can't even spell their name correctly or put a sentence together correctly.
Right.
Like, where are our priorities? This is the future. I have children. My son is going to be out looking for a wife one day. And I don't want him to run across your daughter that don't even know how to spell her name correctly, and she's going to be raising my grandchildren.
She
Right.
gonna know how to spell her name by then.
By the
I'm
time.
just saying, you know what I mean. You know what I mean.
I don't know, because even the mamas don't know how to spell their child name.
I'm
So
just I'm just saying, like, if you grow up around elders where maybe graduating from high school isn't that important, education isn't that important, then where's your mentality going to be? Or if you grow up with elders who they only have a 10th grade education or a ninth grade education, how far can you go if that's your teacher?
right, and again, like you said, it goes back to mentality, because if you're teaching your child that, yes, even though I didn't make it, I want you to, and you're enforcing that, they're gonna do it. Like me and my cousins, yeah, but we both had moms that were young. My mom was 18 when she had me, but she also told me, "Look, you're gonna make it out of high school. That's one thing you are gonna do." And she gave me
Right.
the song that I didn't really follow because I was 19 and I thought I was grown. So, but I feel like when you teach your kids this mentality, yeah, your kid is gonna go their own way, but for the most part, they're gonna take certain things that you said to them, and that's gonna be something that's gonna follow them forever. Like I'm graduating college, even though I'm going through the worst moments of my life. So,
Give me 1 second here.
Right.
and I noticed that a lot of kids my age or even younger, the mentality now is, oh, I'm going to find me somebody rich that's going to take care of me. Baby, the way rent is set up, let me tell you something, you ain't going to find it. And with the way the single parents, I noticed even with my child, with my um boyfriends and with my boyfriend and his baby mama, they the way the disconnect, you can tell how she was raised and how he was raised. You can tell the difference, and I feel like a lot of mothers push that. Oh, I can take it. You don't need a man for nothing. You can do this by yourself, and then it shows in their relationships and in their parenting. Like what you got men that want to be in their child's life, but because of the way that you were taught and the way that you were raised, the only thing you thinking about is getting that child support check and
Mhm.
not about what's good for the child. You're not looking at, okay,
Right.
so how can we work together? Even though we're not together, how can we work together to do this?
I
But
want to
just
touch
think about it. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Go
So
ahead.
I want to touch back on the stepping into the roles thing because, again, if you don't have expectations for your children, then they don't have any parameters to try and reach up to. But it also goes back to if you don't have that to give, then you're not going to give that to them. So when it goes
Mhm.
into stepping into your role, it's not all on who's around you, it's also on yourself.
Hmm.
So we have to give, like Kayla said, younger people more credit. They can choose their own path. It's called free will. So you
Hmm.
can give them the tools or not. But ultimately, sometimes you have the concrete roads where you grow up in a crazy environment, but you made a decision that this is not going to be my life. So step into your role, whoever you are, whatever gender you are, however old you are, if you are watching this or listening to this, step into your role for yourself and be the best you so that you can be the best person in society.
I know JD should better get out my mouth because that's what I was just about to say. I was gonna say it's all about a choice because there's a lot of older people who use their childhood as an excuse and as a crutch for not being better versions of themselves. And I was just gonna say that, like, there comes a point where it's a choice. Like, you can, maybe everything might not be right around you, but you choose if you want to continue on in this or if you want to, go down a different path. So there's got to be a choice at some point.
And my mom taught me that if you gonna use your past for something, make sure you use it as a reason to succeed. That somebody
Mm,
asks you why, oh, why did you want to finish school? You know, you're doing this, you going through this. Your answer should be everything that was trying to hold you back.
Right.
You sit there, you can't use your dad as an excuse as to why you're not succeeding. You can't
right.
use your situation now as a reason why you're not succeeding. There's plenty of times where I wanted to drop out of school throughout my whole situation. And my mom wouldn't let me. I'm like, why won't you just let me drop out? Nobody would be mad at me for this. She was like, I would because I know that you could do it. I know that you are capable of doing that. So yeah, your mama and your papa, they might not be mad at you, but I will because
Mm,
you're better than that. So I feel like so many of us use this like, oh, my dad wasn't there, so that's why I decided that I want to twerk on Facebook and I'm gonna have 15 million kids and 15 million baby daddies, and it's his fault because he just won't listen to me. So you telling me you messed up your life because he wasn't even a part of it? He don't even know that you're doing this. I don't even think he really care if you are.
mm.
So I feel I was taught to change the mindset. It came when I was a teenager because don't get me wrong, as a kid, yeah, I used that all the time. Why you not doing good at school? Because my dad. Oh no, 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 we gonna break that. Once I became
Right.
a teenager and I was able to understand things, it always became a use it as a drive to get to where you want to get to. Don't use it as a reason to hold you back because the moment you do, you let your situation win. You let whoever hurt you win. You let whoever's praying for your downfall win.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like it's both. We not only do we have to change our mindsets, but our parents need to teach that as well.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
But in the case that you don't have that person, you feel like you don't have anybody, nobody understands you, you feel isolated, you feel like you're an alien in your situation, nobody's ever done what you're doing, nobody, you don't have a mentor, any of that, still not an excuse. Find the information, find out, meet people, get out there. Anything that you've done that you wanted to do that didn't amount to anything productive, use that same type of energy towards where you're trying to get.
Right.
And
Right.
align yourself with people that are positive and
Right.
people that are working in a direction towards a goal. They don't have to necessarily have your same goal or your same journey, but be around productive people. When you are around negativity, it's contagious. So if you're
Right.
trying to be better and you're trying to ascend to a different level, you can't still be around those same people, places, and things because they're
That's
going
a
to
big
continue to
one.
pull you down.
That's
So
a
you have to
big one.
change your surroundings. If you want to do this, find someone that you look up to that's doing that and talk to them, reach out to them.
Right. And
Right.
I feel like a lot of people my age, we're not exactly taught who's a good friend to have.
Hmm.
I learned when I had my daughter that not all of my friends was really my friends, you know?
Right.
Hmm.
I learned through this situation that I'm in that not all of my friends are my friends. I got down. I would be when I before I had my daughter, I had 16 friends. By the time
Hmm.
by the time I'm still living my situation, but now I'm down to three. One of them's married. One of them got a business, and the other one is trying to work her butt off to get to wherever she needs to where she can start her own business. And I've learned that the people around you is so important because if you got somebody around you that's constantly stealing and you go to the store with them and they like, hey, 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 hold this, what you think about to happen next?
Right.
Right.
I've literally had that happen to me. I went to the store with somebody who I didn't know stole. We were walking out and it went off and they looking at me, and just like that, by association, I'm like, oh no, that this is a wrap. So you got to
That
be
happened to
careful.
me with my cousin, and I ended up getting in trouble with the law. And
Oh no.
yeah, my cousin was the one stealing, but I was guilty by association. The only good thing was that I wasn't a bad kid. So I guess when they looked at my case, there was this thing called the Youth Accountability Board at that time. So I sat in front of this board, and they're like, we see you're not really a bad kid. You might have just been in, in this caught up in a situation you didn't have any business in. So if you do this, 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 and this, then this won't be on your record. So I had to write a 10-page report on the field that I wanted to go into. I had to do a jail tour, and I had to do 40 hours of community service. And this was all when I was 14.
Sure.
So I did all of that, and it wasn't on my record, but I learned very early, guilty by association, and I could have had a record before I was 18 that I didn't even deserve.
All right. And I feel like we also need to teach our children the law and things that they will do because I'm just gonna say it. I lost my daughter to CPS because one, I didn't know half of the things I know now about the law, and I didn't know one, not to talk to the police at all, even if you're innocent. And I didn't know that I didn't have to let CPS in my home to begin with. Did I actually hurt her? No, that wasn't the situation. But because I lacked that knowledge, it put me in a situation that I didn't even need to be in. Like you look at my record, it's squeaky clean. There's no reason why I should be fighting a felony right now for hurting my daughter, which I didn't even do. And the messed up part is the DA knows that. But because there's money in it, of course she's gonna keep pushing for it. And I feel like we need to teach our kids this just to avoid situations like mine, where just by you not knowing something can put you in a world of trouble without even trying, you know? Like I don't still do none of that. Never had anything on my record. The most I ever did was probably cheat on the test. School because I was too afraid of what my mama was gonna do. You know? So this whole situation opened my eyes to a whole nother world and forced me into an adult realm that I wasn't even ready for. So I feel like we as parents need to talk to our kids, make sure that they know these things and try help them to try and avoid trouble because one little mistake, one little thing of you not knowing something could mess up your whole entire life in a blink of an eye. So yeah, I just feel like with the disconnect thing, communication, kids, communication, everything, communication.
And respect, mutual respect.
Right.
It
Most
takes a
definitely.
village for
We need
sure.
to we need to rebuild the village because right now we can't even have the village when we hate each other. Like,
Right.
like there's some women out there that are not going to get it. Like I don't care how many times you try to put it in them, they're not going to get it. But should their kids suffer because they're not going to get it? No, their kids should be able to come and be loved up on and encouraged by the village. But we can't even do that anymore.
Hmm.
That's what
It
I
all
want to get
boils
back
down
to.
to the mindset and the scarcity. What do you believe? Do you believe that if you help someone, it's going to take something away from you? Do you believe that everything needs to be about you? Do you believe that no one else, deserves the spotlight, deserves to be successful? Because a lot of times that boils down to selfishness as well, not just a scarcity mindset. You could just be selfish.
Hmm.
Very. A lot. And I feel like a lot of people are like that. I'm not even going to just say the older generation. A lot of us are like that and selfish and don't want to see anybody doing any better or just doing better, period.
Right.
The irony about that is the better people are doing around you, the better you will do.
Girl, say that for the people in the back. I mean, what don't you get about that? You're gonna be motivated to be better and do better like the people around you. Just like you gonna be motivated to not do nothing like the people around you. Like it's contagious.
It's all
Mhm.
what
It's
Mhm.
what
it's
you are,
contagious.
you who are you around? And a lot of people, even in my women empowerment group, they learn about abuse and things of that nature. Now they're leaving relationships that they didn't even know that they were being abused in, and are coming out a lot happier. And I'm like, well, look, I didn't want you to leave. I was just trying to inform you. But I noticed that when you get around a group of women or a group of people in general that are genuinely successful and want you to be successful as well, it changes the whole outcome of your future versus you being around a bunch of people that's hating on you, that don't want you to succeed, that's trying to pull you down with them. Whole thing.
A lot of
I
the love
agree.
that I give, well, it's natural, and then I was blessed to grow up in a loving family, but aside from that, a big portion of the love that I give comes from the love that I did not get or don't
Mm,
get to this
mm,
day. So I'm like, I don't want anybody to feel what I feel when I don't get that love for absolutely no reason. So the more people don't give me love, the more I give love.
mm. That's beautiful.
They say that your love language is what you lacked as a child.
Mm-hmm.
Some people lack physical, well, some people's love language is physical touch. Why? Because they didn't get that as children. You know, a lot of things that we don't even notice that we didn't have.
Mm-hmm.
It still
My love language is food. And I don't know, we have food, but it's still my love language. I just food, feed me.
I'm kind of there with you on that one. I love me some food. That's why I got a king that could cook, child.
That's right.
That was the way to my heart.
man, the plate of food in front of me. You love me, don't you?
I
Right?
swear you do. Did you make me gravy? Oh, you love me, huh? Are those homemade biscuits?
You did that
Girl.
all by
I'm
this.
like, if you don't take me out to eat or bring me food, you really don't care about me.
You don't want to feed me? You don't love me if you don't want to feed me.
In this house without a plate for me too. We definitely got a problem. Like, what did I do? Did I do something to you today?
Funny.
Right. So does
Todd, welcome
anybody want
back.
to add anything, before we wrap it up?
Be you.
Yeah, that's a good one. Be mindful.
Right.
Miss Todd?
Be yourself.
I say be respectful of yourself and others.
Right.
Right.
Okay, so I'm going to give everybody a chance to go ahead and drop all their information again, where everybody can find you. Um, we can start with you, Miss Todd.
All right. Guys, I just want to say it has been a pleasure meeting with you guys. I hope to see y'all again. I really, really enjoyed you guys. So you can follow me on TikTok and Facebook at Tot Carter, on Instagram as Ivy Tot 10, and on YouTube as Talking with Tot. So please go out there and my YouTube channel.
All right, Miss JD.
All right. So again, everybody, my name is Jadisha Day. I'm a personal development coach and also a health and life insurance broker. I can be found on Instagram at JD Life Coaching, and that is pretty much the main handle that I'm using at the time being. I have a link tray on there, so you can go to all of my other links.
All right, Miss Kayla.
Hi. I am the owner and founder of Kalia's Dream Cosmetics and Marketing. I sell vegan lip gloss, and I also help anyone in need of digital marketing as far as business cards, logos, websites, whatever you need. And I can be found on Facebook Um, the name is Kayla Love, and I can also be found on Instagram at Kayla underscore lip gloss underscore marketing. And yeah, well, it's all connected. It's all. Oh,
All
and
right.
you can follow my group, which is Let's Talk Sis.
All right. And I'm Mikey. I'm working on my website and all of that now. Like I said, I lost my mother, so everything kind of went down down the wayside. It wasn't really important, so I'm working on that now. But you can find my podcast, my YouTube, same name. Tell your friends with Mikey. I'm also live Saturdays 8 p.m. on Glacier FM. Um, and just to reach out to me, for my body butters and things like that, you can email me at Mikey, Myche, Leigh, at Gmail. Ladies, I thank everybody for coming. I appreciate you all. It was a beautiful build, a wonderful time. I hope you ladies will join me again. Um,
Absolutely. I'm down.
it was great. I loved it. Everybody was respectful. I love that we showed a different side of our women because we have a bad stereotype of us that we're all angry and we can't get along. So thank you guys for helping me show everybody something different, that we can come together, we can have a beautiful conversation, and we're all different ages.
Right.
So
And
thank you go ahead.
I was like, I was just saying I enjoyed it. It was really nice talking to you guys, and I'd love to come back.
Yes, ma'am. Anybody else? Anything before I close it out?
Thank y'all for having me. Until next time.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us at Finding Our Voice. Please join us again. We'll go ahead and put the information out when we're going to have the next one. And remember that a change only comes about when you believe that it's necessary. So do a little self reflection and decide if you need to make a change.